How's it going, people? Sam Slappy here, and this is your update for Monday. It is the patch notes plus the first update of the month. So, straight off the bat then, what is out this week? Well, it's the boss pets. It's simple as that. So the boss pets you were looking for, or the bosses that actually dropped them I should say, is Araxi, Kriara, Ziliana, all the God Wars bosses, let's be honest. Both of the Calphites, King and Queen, Corporal Beast, Giant Mole, Giant Squid, Harakan, KBD, all of the Legions, Chaos Elemental, the 3 Dag Kings, and the QBD. So all of those, you can now get pets off. The King and Queen Black Dragonling pets, which also require 99 summon, apparently. So there we go. So most of the pets they've added for these 26 bosses, no requirements in order to actually use them at all. The only ones which do is the King and Queen Black Dragon, which is a requirement of 99 summoning in order to actually have. So there we go. Araxor and Araxi pet is the only other one as well. This is affectionately dubbed Barry and Mallory. Both require you to have unlocked all the previous spider pets from Araxi before you can use them. And that is it. So those are your boss pets. The only thing worth mentioning coming out today is a huge, massive patch notes. What do you mean fucking epic? Look at that shit. Look at that. Half an entire page of just epic patch notes of doom. This is going to take half hour. It's going to take fucking ages, this is. Oh, never. Well, without further ado then, shall we get started? So, graphical wise, what is going on? The offhand weapon override recolors are now saved correctly. An obsolete tree canopy has been removed from the Trayon district. Players wearing gold athlete's legs will now perform the correct animation when resting with the arcane resting animation activated. Players no longer float near the Privthinus god statue site. A gap in the underside of the curved walkway between the Gadan and Trayon districts has been fixed. Players using familiar scroll abilities with a pet override active will no longer stretch out of proportion. Certain tail overrides no longer stretch while Heffin Serenity posts are being used. Adjusted the colours of the Seren symbol necklace chain to be gold across all variations. Aligned the Edgeville Wilderness level to the wall correctly. The transition travelling between Waterbirth Isle and Relic has been fixed. Ghostly Druid head eyes now glow correctly on male models. The Magic Butterfly necks will now override one-handed weapons correctly. Sextant graphics have been added to the tool belt interface. Sky Shadow boots now appear as the correct black colour in low detail. Fixed a couple of gaps in the scenery in the Malia district. Blocking has been added to the rocks along the waterfalls on Lunar Isle. Fixed a tile by the Privthinus Shadow Rift that made players sink to ground slightly. Sink into the ground, I'm pretty sure that's meant to say, but the replica Torag's plate leg cosmetic override's been adjusted so that players' legs don't clip with the armour. Probably a good thing. Max now uses the updated High Alchemy and Pestle and Mortar animations. A patch of blocking that was missing in the Underground Pass has been added. A blocking issue in the Gnome Maze has been fixed. An issue where the headstand animation would not play properly has been fixed. Moving on to skills and minigames. Iron Man characters can now play the Great Orb Project. Rewards are restricted to the cosmetic outfits and a single Blood Altar teleport. The talent scout near the Heffin Agility course now gives the player a full minute to talk to him when invited to the pit. Searching or attacking a snow pile while hunting will now mention snow piles and not bushes. Players can now use a monthly reset token on the God Statues D&D if they have completed 4 statues without access to the 5th Privthinus statue. The God Statue D&D tracker interface no longer shows an incorrect completed statues total. Players can now enter the Crucible minigame via the tutorial. Delrith in the DT, or Dominion Tower, now has a death animation if the skip victory cutscene option is activated. The Balance Elemental in Dominion Tower now switches combat styles faster. Some voiceover issues with Damis in Dominion Tower. Dominion and Ascendancy mines are no longer considered non-stackable when checking for free space when purchasing. Rerolling a clue score reward will no longer state that another clue has been completed on the adventurer's log. The Anti-Poison Elixir in the Vengeance Fremennik saga will now work as intended. Quests and achievements. Players can now complete the medium Tyrannin task, Harrowed Lands on the Favouring Island in the Poison Waste. I'm just going to say that one again for you. Players can now complete the medium Tyrannin task, Harrowed Lands on the Favouring Island in the Poison Waste. So, I'm assuming you couldn't complete this before, so Tyrannin task set was bugged? The task Can I Have Some Morvran is no longer completed if the player has extended but not preferred their Slayer assignment. The Papapoya Tyrannin task can now be completed using Papaya grown within Privthinus. The following changes have been made to the Xenophile Tyrannin task. Players who have not completed the task will now receive a free attuned crystal weapon seed from Lady Ithel, as long as they have not dropped anything in the past 10 minutes, and do not possess an attuned crystal weapon seed or an attuned crystal weapon. This also applies to Lady Ithel's storage. The guaranteed attuned weapon seed drop from the combat elves has been removed. Players who possess an attuned crystal weapon but have not completed the task can revert their weapon into a seed at the crystal singing bowl and sing another weapon to complete the task. The task can now be completed by making any attuned crystal weapon. Players who claim an attuned crystal weapon seed and choose not to sing a weapon, but destroy the seed instead, can claim a new one in the following week. Players will not be able to do so once the task has been completed. There we go. In a nutshell, all that means is you can speak to Lady Ithel, and if you haven't had an attuned crystal from elves as a drop, and you don't currently own a attuned crystal weapon or whatever else, then you can speak to Lady Ithel and she will give you a free attuned crystal in order to complete this task, pretty much. So there we go. Iron Man players will no longer receive Flash Powder Factory or construction-based stealing creation daily challenges. The final battle in the Heart of Stone quest no longer has a cap on ranged or melee damage. The shortcut to the lower levels in the Lumbridge Catacombs is no longer closed after Heart of Stone is completed. Ionising? I don't fucking know. Aeon Blokey is now better at teleporting players to Patadermis during Darkness Halaville. Fucking struggling here. A typo in the Can I Have Some Morvran task description has been fixed. Several references to the Fate of Gods has been added to Xenia's chat during Heart of Stone. Several pieces of chat have been added to Azanadra about the events of Heart of Stone. Chicken Fox and Grain during Recruitment Drive are now visible when picked up by player, and it is no longer possible to smuggle them out of the quest. A case in which pickup sticks requested earlier objects after giving the player the rare ingredients in Wolf Whistle has been resolved. Some level 33 defense requirements have been removed from functions on the Explorer's Ring. Players can now run underwater during the relevant section of the Great Brain Robbery quest. Gaining level 75 in the relevant skills for Plague's End will now be mentioned in the skill advanced messages. Heartwind will now continue following when entering a trapdoor at the Chaos Temple. Players are no longer able to use the legendary pet abilities to access the inventory whilst marooned on the island during the hunt for Red Raktuba. The Brink of Extinction quest journal rewards no longer mentions treasure hunter keys twice. Players no longer become invisible after being teleported to the prison in the Cold War quest. Nature Spirit now correctly states the quest start location. Players no longer get extra dialogue every time they tell their cat to chase vermin when able to speak to it during the Rat Catcher's quest. Cats are now more effective at catching rats during the Rat Catcher's quest. An issue where the outside world would look torn when facing the Rat King during the Rat Catcher's quest has been fixed. The quest journals of the following quests have been updated to reflect combat level calculation changes. Giant big fuck off list. Another Slice of Ham, Chosen Commander, Creature Frankenstein, Death of Dorgashun, The Feud, Fight Arena, Grand Tree, Knight's Sword, Land of the Goblinsmiths, My Mummy Monkey Madness, Arms Big Adventure, Olaf's Quest, Priest in Peril, Shiloh Village, Spirits of the Elid, Trinum Village, Troll Romance, Vampire Slayer, Wanted, Waterfall Quest, Zoga, Flesh Eaters. So, a few then. Moving on to the miscellaneous stuff then. And this is still quite a lot left, so let's hopefully have some useful things in here. So, a toggleable UTC-based clock overlay has been added. Attuned weapons and armor now degrade to seed rather than to dust. Attuned crystal chakrams will no longer drop to the floor when thrown. Buying another hour in a private bossing instance is now cheaper if the relevant Soul Reaper perk is unlocked. The hunt range of necks has been increased, so you will now find the player more easily upon spawning. Dragon Slayer gloves now provide the correct boosts when fighting celestial dragons on an assignment. Grand Exchange guide prices now also appear when examined from the Dragon King coffer beneath the QBD lair. The Calphite Queen plus the exiled version no longer drop oyster pills in an unnoted form. Various drops within hard mode God Wars boss fights now drop in a noted form. Darek can now be killed by Sunshine or Death's Swiftness in the Rise of the Six. Unicorn horns dropped by Ice Niles are now noted. Players may now purchase items directly within the wardrobe interface. Virak the Defiled is now affected by the Ghost Hunter armor's benefits. Divination XP pops up no longer stack under certain circumstances. Players can no longer teleport while playing the Ithel District Harps. Skill Cape hoods now grant 2,000 to 3,000 coins depending on the alchemy spell used. Alright, if you alch the Skill Cape hoods, you will now get 2 or 3k. Right. Players can now only save bank presets when in a bank. Death will once again automatically initiate the death tutorial conversation after dying for the first time. Abbot Langley now heals the correct amount of life points. The Zara Zeitgeist, the Chosen Commander, and Temple Desecration and the Duke songs have been reworked. The volume on tracks Violin Sanity and Flash Factory have been reduced. Some music tracks for the Alcarad area were noticeably louder than others, so they've been toned down. A wide range of Elven City music tracks will now play when standing in the Tower of Voices. Siphoning from an enriched spring now has some audio. The sound effect for opening and closing the bank interface has been removed. Updated the sounds for cutting and shaping canoes. A typo has been fixed in Privthinus' Memoriam Crystals 14 and 16. An issue which prevented players from removing the managery room from the player-owned house has been resolved. The Join Friend function no longer teleports players to the Wilderness Lodestone if they're playing Fisticuffix. Nice. Players attempting to use the Join option from the friend list to teleport to their friends within Privthinus will now be taken to the correct Lodestone. The Amulet of Nature no longer refers to the tree patch in Privthinus as a fruit tree. The Relic of Slayer Caves teleport option that is displayed when the Ring of Slain or the Slayer Helm is activated has been renamed to the Fremennik Slayer dungeon to remain consistent with the name of the dungeon elsewhere. Pouches for pig summoning familiars can be withdrawn as banknotes. Hard leather boots now appear on the crafting skill guide. Bank chests on the Tiznot now have a collect option. Elnok will now remember that he's taken your butterfly/magic butterfly neck when exchanging with him. The value of the Asylum Surgeon's ring for the items kept on death interface has been increased. Players can now use the Enchant Onyx tablets on a Hydrix jewelry. Searching a desk in the Witch Haven no longer plays a smithing animation. Crystal Flex Sandstone now states that Plague's End as a requirement in the mining skill guide. Living minerals will now be transported to players' banks in the correct amounts if wearing a sign of the Porter instead of only one. Black demons in Edgeville Dungeon are aggressive once again. Increased frequency of oak log generation by giant ent familiars slightly. An issue that prevented stranger plant familiars producing strange fruit has been fixed. Ugh. Spang is now in one location instead of two. Don't even know what the fuck Spang is. Updated the "Would you please help me fight quick" message, add to bosses, and to remove the Queen Black Dragon entry as it is a solo fight. Changed references to renamed ancient magic elements on Fumus, Umbra, and Krua's examine text. The Praetor title now has a space before players' name displays. Players will no longer be teleported to Lumbridge if they log out in the God Wars dungeon under certain circumstances. A typo on the Bandos attuned PVM max skill teleport portal has been fixed. The obsolete check charges option on the cosmetic pumpkin amulets has been removed. NAF's Battle Staff shop will now inform players about the available amount to purchase when a bank pin is entered upon opening the shop. Fixed issue with the Elf City chimes not being equipable from the bank. Shadow Cores are now listed as members only in the Divination skill guide. Players are no longer kicked to their own house's portal when expelled from another player's house in Privthinus. Recolored variants of Ranger Boots now have stats matching the standard green pair. Receiving a Draconic Visage from the Queen Black Dragon coffers will now broadcast to friends. Fix several issues with the Bone Spear and Dagger. Tweak the Cape information dialogue at the end of the fight kiln to reflect the earned Cape's combat style and the player's chosen combat mode. A confirmation window now displays when dropping Void Knight robes. Protean planks may now be used to build Grapevine frames. Forceful Backhand now correctly deals the stated 200% weapon damage to stun immune targets. It is now possible to unlock and lock the action bar in the Combat Academy area. Choosing Zenovivia's Darkstone themed house will now correctly apply it. Charging elemental orbs now display as a member's activity in the Magic Skill Guide. The large Gnome Ball configuration interface now supports Legacy mode. Tweaked some dialogue in the Blue Moon Inn in which female characters refer to themselves in masculine terms. The message to inform players of divine influence disturbed by tree-shaking scrimshaws has been corrected. The message for daily challenge item hand-in now references Herau instead of Farah if relevant. Players can once again remove their mounted glory amulet from the player-owned house. Change the Stronghold of Security to reward players for having an authenticator enabled as Jag can no longer be activated. The title reward for the most deaths high score has been updated to the prefix The Late. The in-floor dungeoneering timer no longer displays the wrong time. Updated various NPC chat to remove references to the ongoing Battle of Lumbridge. The Trade Complete jingle for the Grand Exchange has been updated. Transmuting charms now converts up to 10 charms at a time. And the Magic Shortbow special attack is no longer accessible on free-to-play worlds. And last but not least, we have ninja fixes. Yeah, I told you this would take fucking ages. Right then, what we got? Cleansing crystals are now a bit cheaper and offer slightly more prayer XP. Information is being added to the titles interface about how to unlock certain elven titles. Amloth's Shadow Pet parts now display a loot beam. Players will now get a message when their Harmony Moss pillar is fully grown, happy days. Players can now re-roll a Harmony pillar at the cost of 10 Viswags, happy days. Players can now gain significantly more farming XP from harvesting Harmony Moss pillars. Killing a Demu is now more rewarding. The super one, even more so. Players can now check how many times they've completed the statue of Rhiannon at both the Max Guild and in the Tower of Voices. The chance for attuned weapons and armor seeds to drop from killing the Kadan or Iorwerth elf has been significantly increased. The harmonic dust cost to create attuned weapons and shields has been reduced. The harmonic dust cost to create crystal tools at a singing bowl and Elunid's coin fee to create or recharge crystal tools has been greatly reduced. Apparently. The remote farm spell now works on Harmony Moss pillars. The Elf Crystal and Games Necklace teleport interfaces have been updated. Battle staves can now be bought in noted form from Lunar Isle and Privthinus. A loot beam will now appear for keys in Dungeoneering upon opening doors. This can be toggled by turning off loot beams in Death's office. It's kind of nice. Creating a Dungeoneering party will now automatically select the lowest floor and highest complexity available. Complexity... that's not bad either. Players can now quick chat how many Slayer assignments they completed in a row. A server broadcast now displays when a player achieves 104 mil XP, so 120 in a skill. The options on the QBD Grotworm Dungeon shortcut. That what? The options on the Queen Black Dragon Grotworm Dungeon shortcut. Either I've gone insane or that makes no fucking sense. The options on the QBD Grotworm Dungeon shortcut. I'm sure that... nah, that doesn't make sense. I'm not going mental. Keris will now appear in players' gravestones when they die. The animation for summoning a follower has been slightly tweaked. Players can now automatically fill certain items from within the bank without withdrawing them first, such as runecrafting pouches. Numerous animations in Legacy mode will no longer stop the player from running. Numerous NPCs have had stretching issues fixed. Numerous barbarians have had their models and animations tweaked so that they now hold their weapons properly. The offhand chaotic crossbow broken now uses the correct equip model. Right. Players can now walk while sending off urns instead of standing still, then running to catch you. The right-click previous destination option on the home teleport button now states what the destination is. Chicken's walk animations are now more fluid, because that's... wow. Chicken's doing the robot. I'm sorry, that just picture in my mind. Never mind. Carry on. Stop dreaming. Graphically updated... What? Graphically updated Flax in the Sears Village Flax field. Or maybe Jeffrey. Or maybe Flax. I don't... One of them's been updated. There we go. The leather crafting animation has been updated. Players can now see more information about their opponent's buff and debuffs by hovering over the effect. Spider leg parts will now appear on the adventurer's log. There is now a left-click water option on allotment, hops, and flower patches. Players are now able to use charge, surge, and escape inside God War's hard mode instances. Graphically updated the War Tortoise Familiar. The price trigger interface is now the left-click option on the coin pouch. Players now automatically deposit their clay tools at the end of stealing creation. There we go. So, what's that, 20 minutes worth of fucking patch notes? Jesus Christ. All in all, nothing massive, like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe they actually did that, has been added or changed. There's a few nice little things. Small things, nice. Like, loot beam in Dungeoneering for all the keys on the floor. You know, you never have to worry about missing a fucking key again. There we go. Oh my god, patch notes of doom. Either way, people, that is Monday. That is pretty much everything this year. So you got your 26 boss pets. So, gotta catch them all. We're not far off, surely. Do you reckon RuneScape will add 151? Oh, fucking god. I'm like, oh, it's been going on too long. Patch notes have killed me. I will catch you all later, people. Toodaloo.